Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the last online event of this year of Friends of Elephant. We are very happy that all of us have joined this evening for this event. Friends of Elephant, in collaboration with the Wildlife Trust of India, is presenting this final talk for the year called Technology for Elephants: Artificial Intelligence to Match Elephant Intelligence. Before we begin with our talk today, I would like to introduce Friends of Elephants. Friends of Elephant is not an organization and it is not proposing to become one. It is an informal group of people coming together with varied expertise concerned about elephants and other wildlife. The group is a forum for disseminating knowledge linked to elephants and other wildlife science, conservation, and welfare through art, culture, literature, movies, talks, and panel discussions. Our expectation is that people who have attended our events conducted, well, not at the capital city today, wherever that we are, on their own or with their proximity to the people from policy making, help in developing appropriate conservation and welfare measures for wildlife, including elephants. The schedule for today is as follows. We will have an introductory brief talk by my colleague Sanjay Ajnikar on science of technology, followed by talk on artificial intelligence based elephant detection and early warning system by Mr. Tim Vedanayagam. Mr. Mohan Raj in conversation with Mr. Vedanayagam, technological solution for elephant science and conservation. And finally, we'll have a question and answer session, which will be moderated by Ankul Shetty. I would once again request everyone to kindly mute. Right. I would once again like to welcome everybody and especially the guests for this evening, Mr. Tim and Mohan Raj sir. I would now request Sanjay to take over, please.
Yes, thank you, Anusha. So what is it we are trying to do today? We are trying to take you closer to the science of technology. Okay, so let's try to understand the technology and science as the two different aspects, right? So how the technology has been evolved in wildlife conservation in India. So let's take example that earlier we used to manually track wild animals in the forest, and now we use ultra-modern radio collars which are connected directly with the satellite to track the wild animals. We also use the chips which are put into subcutaneously under the skin of the animal to track the animal, as well as we use drones to track the animals. So that's the evolution of technology. Another example, if I could refer, is earlier we used to have a photographs of the forest cover. Let's take example of India's forest cover, which is 22%. Earlier we used to have a raw photographs. Now we have a sophisticated satellite images to understand. So that's how the technology has been evolved. So that's technology. So let me elaborate further. That is also with today's topic, which is elephant for technology. Let's consider a researcher, elephant researcher, somewhere in Nagahole Forest Reserve, which is in South India, right? Tracking of one particular point, or say a Bandipur Tiger Reserve, which have, say, a railway track, or say any forest reserve which has a railway track, and this researcher clicks all the wild animals which are crossing the railway track inside the forest, right? Same point, that researcher clicks the photos of all wild animals across the year. So he has a group of photos, a collection of photos. Then a software engineer steps in and use this collection of photos to develop an algorithm to detect a specific animal. Let's say an elephant, to detect elephant across the different wild animals like a deer or a wild boar or say Indian goat, okay? A different set of animals to detect elephant. Let's say that the technologists come who actually use this algorithm and install a camera which has a sensor and deploy that camera next to the railway track. Okay, and this gets interesting, So where to deploy this this camera to capture that image of a wild animal? So that is how the science comes into a picture. For what purpose we are doing this, why this technology or a set of technologies are used, for what purpose, where to install the camera, for what purpose, is what the science of technology. And once we understand the science and a technology, it can actually use or utilize the technology in a brilliant way or optimum way. So I don't want to hold back and get into this in details, because that's how we have our esteemed experts and panelists who are there. And I would request Anusha again to take over and introduce our esteemed speakers. Anusha, please, can you take it forward?
Sure. Thanks, Sanjay. Please allow me a minute. Right. We shall now begin the first talk for the day by Mr. Tim Vedanayagam, which is titled Artificial Intelligence-Based Elephant Detection and Early Warning Systems. Before we begin with the talk, I would like to introduce our guest. Mr. Tim Vedanayagam is the CEO of ADVANTECH Data Link Solutions. He's been a techie for more than 40 years and has experience in providing connectivity solutions, and has been tinkering with do-it-yourself projects since his childhood. He is a wildlife enthusiast who grew up in the Annamalai Tiger Reserve, as his father was the chief engineer, Mr. P.K. Vedanayagam, who's now 99 years, good to know that. And he's still with us, very glad about that. Mr. P.K. Vedanayagam was one of the pioneers of the Parambilkum Aliyar project, and the entire family is a family of nature lovers. Mr. Vedanayagam has designed numerous wireless tripwire and wireless early warning systems, which has been implemented in several corporate houses and forest divisions all over the country. It is also my pleasure to introduce and say that Mr. Vedanayagam is a jazz pianist and designs and flies drones with hundreds of hours of drone color footage of elephants during daytime and thermal footage during night. I would like to welcome Mr. Vedanayagam. Sir, a very warm welcome to you. I would request you to now take over.
Thank you. I'm, as introduced, Tim Vedanayagam, and I think they have given a brief of what I am and what I've been doing. So today we'll be talking about technology and how it can be implemented in real life elephant conservation. Here we are going to basically look at detection and early warning. At the start, let me tell you that I live in the outskirts of Coimbatore, which is in South India, and adjoining a reserve forest. So I have any amount of elephants coming into my colony. It's a 100-acre colony. So I will just start with giving you a background of where I stay and where I work from. I'm going to share my screen, and yes. So this is elephants in my place. I stay in a gated colony called Classic Village, and I've been documenting these guys from 2014, 16 onwards. I'm just fast forwarding them so that we get to more of these videos. Most of these, in fact, all the footage here is taken from around my house. So here you can see some tuskers walking in 2017, hardly 50 meters from my house. And Going on from 2017, we have 18, 19, and again we have lots of them coming over, drinking water, walking through my front door. This is my front door where the cursor is. You can see it reaching for the mat, foot mat. Here it's walking past my cars at least. And this is at 7:30, 7:25, 26 in the evening. So we have these beautiful giants. This is a little elephant that got injured by a bomb kept for wild boar. We tried saving it, but unfortunately it died. And here we have families coming over, big elephants, and so on. This is my front gate. This guy we call African. You can see he's got some very good tusks. And we have the RF to the north of us, then our colony, and to the south, we have this group of villages, and all around here, you see maize fields. So we have elephants coming from September to February, and we are right now in the peak season. And you can see them trampling past my house. So this is just from my house. And so on daytime itself, 8 o'clock, and you can see an elephant coming in here. So it's coming, we get scattered visits throughout the year and regular visits from October. Okay. Having said this, I will take you through what I have done. So over the years, I have developed several I think it went out. Okay.
No, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Okay. So yes. I have developed several solutions, and the best thing is that since this is peak elephant conflict zone, I have implemented there. I have a team of people helping me out, several friends who have dedicated their lives to conservation and developing solutions. And I will update as you go. And we use the detection and escalation and data transfer. I concentrate on that because I'm strong in networking. And so let me just give you an idea of what we are doing. So basically, I have more or less compiled a handbook for AI solutions. So the first thing and we need connectivity. One, we need the alert, whichever your detection is there, with whichever type of detector you use, for that to be escalated out of the forest to the respective, what as I call it, a disaster management center, so that proper action can take place. This does. I will show you on the intranet, I have developed a voice over IP solution. Here, the people can talk using voice over IP phones and escalate anything. So this is again detection, where we have the cameras, they are able to view the cameras online, and once again, they are able to warn the people or prevent them from straying into the forest. So along with this, we have coverage of, this is a red sanders tree. This is tree cutting emulation. This is taken in Tiruvallur Forest Division, and we had installed this all in that place. So along with this, basically, we are looking at you are having voice connectivity, you're having video connectivity, you are having data, so all the computers are connected. Everything is connected 24/7. And you don't need anything else. Now your sensors get integrated into this. Moving on, I developed this tripwire system. It's a very simple system using two infrared beams, one at 6 feet and 7 feet. If both of them are cut together, then they emit a signal. Alert is generated, and we can use it for any purpose. Here I've emulated it having on the side of the railway tracks. And yes.
Please go to the slideshow mode. You're not in the slideshow mode.
I'm not in the slideshow mode. Please. You are screen sharing. Okay. Yeah, because I'm going back, but you're able to see the slides?
Yes, but small. Size is small.
Yeah. I want to concentrate more on the videos. So here is the tripwire working. I have a tripwire. You cannot see it, but I don't know why I'm not getting the audio. But as this flashes, you'll get an audio indicating the elephant is crossing. Like that, you can see the elephant's coming. They're getting angry now, and they'll chase this dog.
Tim, if you put it on presentation mode, then the sound would come. You make it
presentation mode. I'll do that, Philip. Just a second.
Yeah.
Presentation mode. I have the video mode. Can somebody guide me on this, please?
Tim, on the right corner of the presentation, you have a icon that shows slideshow mode. That's, I think, in the bottom footer, right? On the right-hand side, you have the zoom out and zoom in option. To the left, you have the option which says slideshow. That's one option. Or you can press the key, shift key and F5. Shift and F5 to the full screen.
This?
Yes.
This mode?
Yes.
Okay. But this will show a PowerPoint presentation, but what about the video? Why is the...
We are not able to see the video at all, Tim, I think.
Oh. Yes. Even if I share the screen, I'm sharing the screen right now.
Maybe you will have to bring the video in the front.
Yeah, I'll do that again.
Video, I think, then only we'll be able to see.
Yeah. Are you able to see the video now?
No, sir.
No? Oh, it's...
The video will be in a different screen, and that screen has to be shared. I think you have shared the PowerPoint screen you have shared.
So when you share the screen, it will ask for what to share. Then you can select the video, then you can share the video.
Okay. Shall I? Yeah. And is it now sharing? Yes, no? I'm sorry.
Sir, you please minimize that PowerPoint presentation. Then the background.
Yeah,
will come.
I
Yeah,
minimize.
right.
Yes. I've got my. Shall I put a new share?
No, sir. So,
Yeah, I think
so even
I think
yeah,
now
now we can see it. Yes, sir.
Now we can see. Yeah.
you can see. Yes. Okay, I need to toggle between this. But again, the audio is not coming. Okay, doesn't matter. So you can see this elephant. Please, in case I goof along the way, just correct me and bring back whatever is relevant. Okay. So as I told you, the elephant is chasing the dog. Okay. Various. Now again, I have a tripwire here, and this will trigger as it goes past. This will set off audio alarm at my control center, as well as it will sit on one of the systems. So I have a log of whenever the tripwire is triggered, as well as the video I can retrieve the next day or whenever I want online, etc. Okay. So going back to this, we have also motion detectors, and I hope you're able to see that.
No, sir. I think the screen sharing has stopped now. Yes, now it is developing. Yes, now we can see it. Sir.
Yes. And the pertaining video, I'm going to show that. And oh. Yes. Now, can you see this, please?
Yes, sir.
This is a kind of a motion detector here, and this detects the elephant, and you can see it's followed by another one, and this is again my front gate, and again you can see this. This little elephant was injured by a bomb against another elephant, but we managed to nurse it back. It used to hang around my house, and we, with the help of the forest department, we managed it, and I'm happy to say it's right now joined a herd. Its mouth was blasted off, but now it's okay. And moving on, right. So yeah. This is a camera trap image processing system. Well, all of you know how camera traps work, and it is located somewhere in the middle of the forest, and it keeps recording the data. The department people go every 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and swap a card and come connect to the camera trap on a 24/7 basis, and this can pull out the images from a cluster of camera traps 5 to 10 kilometers away and classify them as elephant, tiger, or others, and broadcast it through the intranet to even 100 kilometers away. And I'm going to just show you that video. And you're able to see this right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so well, now I'm connecting a Pi. I'm using a little cell phone Bluetooth to start this process. And you can see that the five files were transferred from the camera trap to the Pi. And now the classifications are ready. And it's made 2 folders, elephant and other. I put a host up. Here you can see the files being received from that. And if I click on the elephant photos are displayed. And these are the other photos and the relevant photos. So this is another of the devices. All this has been installed and working. So all of you are welcome to come over to Coimbatore sometime, and I'll take you on a one-on-one to this place. So typically, here you can see a cluster of camera traps, and they can pull out the data from 5 to 10 kilometers away and transmit it to the disaster management center. Then here, and I will, yes. These are cameras on the intranet, and I will just show you some. Yeah, this is streaming video from about 60-65 kilometers from somewhere in the interior of Anamalai Tiger Reserve at a waterhole to the DFO's office at Udmalpet, past several mountain ranges, and you can see the clarity of the video. And this is part of what we do on the wireless intranet. So this capability is included, and this is there. So we attach an AI unit to this, and this in turn will take snapshots of the IR video or HD video, daytime video, and again do image video classification of the animal. So yeah. And let me try and give you some. This is some of the This is again IR videos. This is a tiger somewhere near Setumadai, tiger in a coconut plantation. This IR, the white bit is the IR. You and I can't see it, neither can animals. Only the camera can detect it. And again, all okay. So moving on, and the application diagram is normally what we do. We place this in the paths where elephants come, and we are able to get a cluster of these cameras connected onto a point to multi-point link. And from there, we have a backbone. So at the end of the day, you have about 40, 50 cameras being monitored, and each of them have an AI capability. So you're immediately able to detect elephants in this case. And yeah, same thing with these videos which I showed you for the long range. This is a thermal camera, and this is a very interesting thing because we are able to monitor elephants in total darkness 4 kilometers away. And I'm using a 60 mm lens here, and we're able to detect elephants like this. Let me pull out a video to share with you. And yeah. Yeah. Typical, this is the kind of video. The clarity you're getting at about 2.5, 3 kilometers. And you can, in fact, in the beginning, you will see a bus moving here. You can see a bus moving at about 4 kilometers away.
Can't see the video. We are still
Not
seeing.
able.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me, please. You got it now?
It's building, sir. So it might be in any time.
Okay. Yeah, you can see it now?
Not yet.
Not.
But it's building your screen, so I think we should see it anytime.
We couldn't see it.
I think we lost Tim. Tim, are you still with us?
No. I think we'll just wait for a few seconds for Tim to come back. I think.
Yes. All right. In the meantime, guys, we are taking down all your questions. We shall be addressing this at the end of the event with Tim. So please put your questions in the chat box.
Yeah, and I think it will also be useful if you can direct your questions to a particular person, because we do have another guest with us. Right, Mr. Tim is back.
Yeah.
Over to you, sir.
Are we
Yes, sir. We see the screen now. The video.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So you will see a bus in the background there. And this is thermal video of a herd. And it's a small herd. Again, 2 tuskers, and so on. And you can see cheetal in the foreground and elephants in the background. And last one is the tusker feeding it, close by. Okay. So yeah. And this application diagram is, you can use it for the railways or you can use it at the border. And here is another very useful solution. It's a buried cable, and this has been developed by my good friend Dr. Philip Casey. I understand he is in the meeting today. He has spent several years working on this, and here. And yeah, there Philip is there. I can see him. So on this, I will share this again. Is it building?
Yes, sir. We see this. We see it. We see the video.
And this is my dear friend Philip. And we have a cable here. Under it, the elephant is crossing, and it will trigger. I'm sorry, I don't know why the audio is not working, but there will be a signal from there. But don't worry, I'll show you some real life emulation shortly. So basically, this deployment is we keep it in zones of 500 to 1,000 meters. As the elephant crosses, we will be able to detect where it is coming and take it in. What is that? Yeah. Okay. Are you able to see my screen, please?
Yes, sir, but we see the video, not the presentation.
Okay. Oh, geez. Okay. And the application can be for railways, etc. And few more solutions are there using drones with CCD cameras, thermal cameras, then using drones to wirelessly retrieve data from remote camera traps. This is a very interesting feature, basically a dashboard. So I have all these sensors installed in this 100-acre plot. And whenever one of them triggers, this app will indicate which particular device has triggered. And watching that, you can follow the path of the elephant. And I have about 50 cameras installed in this area, all wireless cameras. So I'm able to monitor the elephants as they come in. So This is a new thing which we are doing, which is a geophone-based alert system using seismic sensing. I'm working with Professor Sukumar on this, and we have just installed this. Probably another week or so, we'll be able to get some real-time footage of this working in the forest. And this is the application, so we can monitor these things from there. Of course, this is for forest fire protection, AI-based forest fire. And finally, we have a handheld camera for, thermal camera for perambulation. And let me see if we can pull out another. Yeah. This is a handheld thermal camera. You're able to see the video, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. It's a leopard in Gujarat.
So we lost Tim once again. Let us allow him a couple of minutes so he could connect. Hello, Tim.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So this is another solution which I'm in the process of developing. I was in February, I was in Tumkur, and the problem there was man-eating leopards. So these leopards were already pre-located from other locations. So they were refusing to enter into the cages. So I developed the solution of a net launcher using a machine learning radar. And we have not completed the project, but we have got the classification work. The pneumatics of the net launching is also working. So we need to get this together. Once that's completed, we'll have a thing done probably by early February. We should have this thing ready for deployment. So, and yeah, this is something on elephant early warning system, which is a plethora of solutions for protecting elephants crossing railway tracks. And we came out with several such. We have already deployed one such project in Coimbatore, and probably working on another 2 projects which may happen. So this about completes the presentation on what I have to say. So basically, that there are maybe a dozen different types of detection and early warning systems, and all of them have been deployed and are working here in Coimbatore. And we have video cameras covering these things so that you can have real-time monitoring. And this is the kind of technology we are looking at, which will help mitigation. So if what I am planning here is that we have nearby villages. So I plan to probably work with the department and pass on these alerts to them so that we can tell them in which direction these elephants are moving and what is the quantity, so they can send the teams to apprehend them before they go to the villages. Possibly, we'll also put up some warning lights in the nearby villages, which are activated once these early warning systems are triggered, so that they can in turn inform and be warned that elephants are approaching. So I think we can move on to the next portion of the presentation today, or the meeting. Sanjay?
Right. Yes, sir. So, could I request you to stop sharing your screen?
I'll do that. Yes.
Right. So thank you so much, sir, for wonderfully sharing information about the application of technology in mitigating human-elephant conflict, about the detection systems, the early warning systems, ranging from the tripwire to the alarms and the motion detectors, the thermal cameras, and so on. We see that we have a lot of questions that have lined up. I request everyone to keep those questions coming in. We will have them answered towards the end of the session. We now move on to the next segment, which is the conversation between Mr. Tim and Mr. Mohan Raj, the theme of which is technological solutions for elephant science and conservation. I would now like to introduce Mr. N. Mohan Raj. Mr. Mohan Raj has lived all his life in the Nilgiris and worked in the Hindustan photo film. During his spare time, sorry about that. During his spare time, he spends his valuable time with India's oldest association, the Nilgiris Wildlife Association. He's been prominent in establishing some of the baseline data on the Nilgiris. In 2002, Mr. Mohan Raj took VRS from HPF, Hindustan Photo Film, and he's joined the Keystone Foundation, where he worked as the technical officer on a bee project. In 2005, Sir has taken over WWF-India's elephant project and worked in scaling up from one field station to encompass the entire landscape. He's played a major role in securing the Segur corridor. Presently, he works as an advisor for WWF, working on securing the landscape where there are issues with wildlife. So welcome to our event this evening, and I would request you to kindly take over. We are all very keen to listen to the conversation between yourself and Mr. Vedanayagam.
Good evening, everybody. This is Mohan Raj. Hi, Tim. And we have them also there. See, basically, I've been working with the Nilgiri Wildlife Association and later with Worldwide Fund for Nature. I also look at technology as a solution, but my leads are for the other end of the scale where Tim is working. Tim is working at the high end, where he's got the resources and the equipment, while I work where we don't have resources. Like the early warning systems which we learned were tripwire was the tribals in Mudmalai used to set up just a wire with firecrackers, and that we converted to electronics, and that Tim has been now taking it to a higher level. Okay, basically I look at technology. There is I don't develop the technology. I facilitate or I can catalyze the system for WWF, and WWF has been working with quite a lot of technology, but none has reached to deliver things in the field. Like thermal imaging, which Tim is talking about, we have edge computing. Later onwards, I can share some of these screens. Today, I'm in a very, I'm in Mudmalay's end, so I can't share. My bandwidth is very poor. See, the technology presently, every year we have a IoT meeting in Europe, and you can see a quantum jump in technology. See, we started as WWF. I started radio collaring. We have collared nearly about 12 elephants in the Mudmalai, mainly from Karnataka, and some of them in Nadu. And these collars are very heavy, and they are very costly. To import them, it costs 2.5 lakhs, and you need a lot of permission. But today, there are about 4 companies in the world who are giving you open source radio collars, which anybody can buy it, and it is IoT, so it's open. It doesn't need a license because it uses LoRa network, and these satellites are LEO satellites, that is low Earth orbits. They are about 50 kilometers away, out in space. So already about 30-40 satellites are there. Indian ISRO also launched some of these satellites. So the technological change is going to be quantum jump. Like the camera traps, which Mr. Tim is talking about, already we are seeing the edge computing. That is, you have chips inserted into camera traps, which can process the image and send only the data. So the data can be on real time, in actual capture. But Tim is talking about what he's already got. I am talking about what is the future. So we have not reached that. It's all in development stage. And one of the places which people who are interested in wildlife can look at this. I'll just share one screen. So this is, can everybody see my screen? Hello?
Not yet.
Not yet, sir.
Not yet. Okay. Wait. Well, let's share. Okay. Now do you see?
It's yes. Now we see, sir. Yes.
Yeah, this is a WildLab net, which is actually it's a complete open source, and you name it, and it's already there. Okay, whether you're going to record sounds, whether you're using camera traps, everything is there, and there are technical people who are willing to help you to take this forward. So since your group is a collection of people who are well-wishers of wildlife, this is where you could head and you can easily contribute. And these systems are not very costly, they are very cheap, and you can easily set it up. And many of them, you have to pay it in dollar, but you can get it in Indian markets. So things have changed a lot. I'm coming back to. So I'll send a link later to the coordinator of this, and you can look at this. It's you. The group is. It has really got the works. It's called wildlab.net. Anybody can become a member, and you can also, if you have a technology like Tim has got, he could also share the technology with them. And under such a system, we met Vijay Mohan from Sri Lanka, who gave us a new design for the electric fence. This has changed the way India is handling conflict. Especially our landscape, we find that the hanging fence, which Vijay Mohan of Sri Lanka has designed, is helping us. We have got already about 300 to 400 kilometers of fence erected, and it is saving problems of elephant crop raiding or other issues. Similarly, when you look at earlier, the introductor talked about satellites. Today we have at least 3 or 4 satellites which are giving you near real time. That is, maybe within a day you get satellite images. So, and these are free and they are 10 meter. The European Space Agency, for example, gives you the software. They give you the knowledge how to use their satellites. They give you also the satellite image. All you need is a bandwidth. So if you have a bandwidth, you can download the images, and within hours you can predict where the elephant will raid next, because you know the crop and the crop what stage the crop is. That type of analysis you could say. So it's heading towards a technological driven conservation. It's all mainly Internet of Things. So I think I just give you a small brief. And there is also this LoRa technology which is coming in, which is actually a forerunner of 5G. 5G is wireless network everywhere, and all instruments, sensors talking to the internet. Till now, humans were using internet. The future instruments will start using the internet. Already we have many such systems on board. We are now monitoring. For example, one of the easiest thing is the I'm sorry, I've got my grandson wants to meet me. So the Internet of Things is, for example, all your fast tags in your cars. Today, from January 1st, the Indian government has said that all cars, all four-wheelers should have a fast tag. It's an IoT. So when you're crossing the toll gate, you don't have to stop. Automatically the system will log you on, and it will reduce the money from your bank account. So that's how technology is going, and that's how we are also going, looking at wildlife conservation. For example, we have Smart Parks, and another organization based in Scandinavia. They work in South Africa. They worked with us. We have not been very successful because we had failures with the sensors in India. But they have been able to establish a very good smart park. That means the whole park is monitored 24/7. With the system what Tim is talking about, how drones could pick up everything. Such systems already exist. So we are heading towards these systems. And now we can, I thought this will be enough for a small introduction of what's happening in the world. Then we can go on to, I just want to ask Tim a few questions. Can he explain a little bit more about the cable which detects elephants, and how that would be a change of that technology, how it will affect conservation? Buried cable. Tim, you're muted. You need to unmute yourself. Yeah.
So basically, it's a single mode fiber, and right now we have deployed about 625 meters of this cable. We bury it at about a foot underground, and we terminate at one end. Then we have basically a laser source going through this. I have a lead of about, say, 200-300 meters from the end of the sensor to my control room, and the entire monitoring is done from there. With this, as the elephant approaches, we can detect it up to about 3 to 5 meters away from the cable. It doesn't have to step on the cable. As it comes close to the cable itself, it will detect. And right now, this particular flavor is will give us detection of elephants, humans, vehicles, and we can also fine-tune it further. Basically, it's machine learning, looking at the signal processing, and we will be having even gunshots, digging, all that can be detected. We have a higher version which will pinpoint within 2 meters the point of entry also. So right now we are looking at deploying 100 to 500 meter zones, and the controller comes equipped with 2 zones or 4 zones as we want. So we can get within limits the distance or which particular zone has been triggered. Just a second.
Okay, Tim. Such a technology will give us an early warning about elephant movement coming out of the forest. For example, where you live is Coimbatore, which is a hard boundary. There is no forest on the eastern side of Coimbatore Reserve Forest. So if you were to lay such a cable, and I think the distance of the boundary of Coimbatore Reserve Forest is about 120 kilometers. So the elephants are coming into the urban area of Coimbatore, Karamadai, and Metropolium and Sirmugai. Suppose you were to lay such a length of wiring, buried cable, what would be the cost? Just ballpark.
Okay. See, offhand, if I can give you a 2-zone controller.
Yeah.
Okay. And the zone you can vary. So I'm meaning the zone length. So the zone length can be anywhere between 500 to 2 kilometers. So a proper configuration of this, if I can say, would be something like a 2-zone controller, and you can have 2 zones of 2 kilometers each. So 4 kilometers. You could probably cover all of this under 10 lakhs.
Okay.
So you will have about 4 kilometers. You can stretch it a little further if you want, but basically it's zero maintenance also. Once you bury it, there's nothing else. And you don't need power on either end. At the center where the main controller comes, you probably need the power. And that is only some 12 volts, like your mobile charger.
So you would be needing
So
3 crores for putting such a system along the Coimbatore Reserve Forest.
If you want to come, yeah, but actually that would not be a kind of solution,
Yeah.
because the terrain would be different. So the idea of me describing these various types of detectors is to have a hybrid kind of solution. You cannot say take one solution and say that is the best in the world.
Yeah.
The terrain will vary, the soil will vary, and if there is undulation, you can use different kind of technology. So I've given you a half a dozen or more different technologies. So basically, we need to do a site survey of the location and classify and say, here we'll do buried, there we'll do IR systems, the other places we'll use image processing, other places we'll use video processing, in other places we can use geophones,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. In other places we can use, for example, when you're using thermal, I can cover 4 kilometers, 8 kilometers in one go.
Yeah, Tim,
You know?
yeah, I understood that, Tim. I have one more question for you regarding this. Maybe you detect the elephant, say you put this across the railway track. That's one of the solutions, or the geophone. Now,
Yeah.
it's on the railway track and the train is coming. You need that quick response team.
Yes. Yeah. So how to go about it?
Yeah.
We did something, a pilot project between Madukkarai and Walayar. In that area, in that stretch, we did a half a kilometer installation about a few years ago. And the modus operandi was that I had used infrared detection system, And basically, when it detects an elephant, it raises an alert. And that alert goes straight to the control room in Palghat. The control room is on walkie-talkie contact with all the locos going in that area. So, for example, this was, I think, at 576, meaning it is 576, the point was 576 kilometers from Chennai or something to that extent, you know. So I did it for about a half a kilometer or 1 kilometer. So they will call and say at 576 left side or right side, whichever I indicate in my message, that an elephant is standing. So the trains automatically slow down. This is the first portion. The second portion is a similar SMS goes to the forest department, as well as we had a watchtower in that area. Now, immediately they will mobilize, go on to the track, and from the track, they will drive the elephants away. See, most of the time, the elephants might not cross the track. They may be feeding beside the track. So we can't stop the train, but we can warn the train to go slow, and people on the ground will be able to keep the elephants away. So basically, it is an early warning, and it is not a deterrent. Yes, at some point, a deterrent is required, a totally foolproof deterrent, which would drive the elephants away from that area.
Yeah, because that would be the final solution.
Yes.
You need to the deterrent which will stop the elephant coming near the railway track.
Once it is detected, I'm sorry, we want the deterrent. I'm working on a few protos, and I've got some limited success on this. When I've kind of got it working, I will get back.
One would be the electric fence, which could be made much more smarter.
Yes.
And
yes.
Because electric fence is working throughout the world.
Very good.
Millions of electric fences around the world. But
yes.
In India, we keep losing elephants because of the cost of an electric fence. You see, the Energizer being imported, good Energizer starts around 20,000 rupees, while average Indian Energizer, which is about 5,000 rupees, we do not know how good the Indian Energizers are because we don't follow any standards. So it would be good if you could develop a Energizer which is low cost and also following international specification, which will save elephants on the long run. Because today, if you look, browse the internet, there are about 40, 50 companies. And there is a company in Bangalore saying that they are testing all these Energizers, and none of their tests include the safety factor of the fence. So it would be, if you can look at Energizer also, it would help elephants, conservation of elephants, especially in India, because our farmers are small-time farmers who are trying to protect small areas, so they can't afford to put in big Energizers like Gallagher. And what Vijay Mohan has designed, the hanging fence, has helped a lot of people this year. Where I live in the border of Malay in Thoropalli, and we have just saved about 150 acres of paddy because of this hanging fence. Just a small 50-meter hanging fence stopped elephants from properly. So also, I would request you to test that also.
Yeah. If Mr. Mohanraj, if I may add something, I also did a little bit work with bioacoustics, and as we all know, bioacoustics is basically the language of the animals. So I worked with another friend, and he had developed a system where we have basically alarm calls, distress calls, and predator calls. So a mix of this is given to drive these away, drive whatever, starting from monkeys onwards to wild boar, nilgai, and it is very effective with the deer. I am adding some other modifications and as well as trying to marry it with the early warning system, so that if we have the RF and the early warning system there, we have the Pata land and the villages behind. In the center, if we have the bioacoustic system, so as the early warning system detects the elephant, this could trigger and drive them away. There is a random pattern generator. So the combination of sounds and the alerts are varied, so the animal does not get used to it. We are also working on a little high frequency siren. I call it a silent siren, and something at about 10 to 12 kilohertz, which will give a sharp 110 to 120 decibel beep. And that will normally put away the elephant. We explored possibility of subsonic, but we didn't want to tread there because that's one of their communication channels, and we really weren't comfortable there. But we've got some success with the 12K as well as the bioacoustics, and we'll be deploying them this season because right now we are having between 10 and 15 elephants coming past our area every day. So we could probably be doing that now. I will get back to you, and I will document also the reaction without the deterrent and with the deterrent. So I will focus on the elephant using my thermal cameras as well as my infrared cameras, so that we can see a marked difference if the deterrent is working. I will share those videos with you in the next couple of weeks.
At this point, I want to just share with the other listeners, one of the early warning systems which we use in our home is we have two dogs, and when an elephant comes, we have elephants in the front or in the back, both sides of the house, the elephant comes. So these dogs will give a particular type of bark. They pick up the elephant long before the elephant has reached that place, based on smell and sound. So I've been using them as early warning to take thermal images, but have not been very successful. So dogs are another aspect. All the animal lovers, elephant conservationists can think about training the dog to early warning system, because they can pick up a large area which sensors will not be able to pick it up. The sound and the smell. Yeah, Tim.
Very true, because I have a half a dozen dogs at my place, and when I take them, even in Coimbatore, I'm able to determine a marked difference when it is a wild boar. With deer, they are not bothered, but with elephants, it's different, and we get the occasional gore also. When I take my dogs to Valparai, and in my little estate there, I can see very clearly the difference of the dog when an elephant is coming and they are kind of growling. With a bison, a gaur, they are barking. But when a leopard comes, they shiver and go beneath under the bed. So yes, they are one of our best early warning systems. And yeah, I have really have not analyzed that, but it gives food for thought, where probably we can take the barking of the dogs and try and really categorize if we can do classification.
There is already such applications in the world. Sundarbans, the Bangladesh side of Sundarbans, where tigers come into villages and often lift people away from the villages. There's people have used this, and a foreign NGO has helped the village by training a pack of local dogs to overcome the fear of the tiger. And they form a pack, and when a tiger comes anywhere near the villages, the pack is standing guard, and the tiger doesn't come in. It is not able to handle the pack because too many of the dogs, and they are moving so fast compared to the tiger. So we need to look at also natural things like, for example, we were looking at how to detect traps, nooses kept for trapping animals. And whatever we tried, we could not. But the final solution we think is only using dogs again to track people along the forest edges who are unauthorizedly approaching to lay nooses. We have tried looking at it with drones and with the magnetometers and other things, but of no success. So we should also try to use natural things which are there. Maybe I'm talking to the technocrat to look at non-technical things.
No, it is food for thought.
So this, where is this thermal imaging going? How do you think it is going to go in the future?
Well, I've got quite a lot of exposure to thermal imaging, and I've been working with a company from Israel, and I've been using their product for really about 7 years. And again, I have unlimited footage, and with both the handheld thermal camera and the 60 mm long range camera, we can have some very robust detection. And of course, I have done machine learning with that also. And I'm able to easily classify elephants using machine learning algorithms on the thermal imaging. Yes, there is one particular problem is it would not work through canopy. But by and large, when we are looking at the edge of the forest here, at least most of these terrain or the forest around here is scrub. So there is a clear marking where the elephants move under the acacia trees or the other trees and come out. And there are places, bare patches. So using a motion detection with an algorithm for motion detection, as well as using the thermal classification, we are able to easily identify elephants. And the benefit is on 60 mm lens, as I said, we can see up to 4 kilometers away in total darkness. And that makes it pretty cheap because we have it on a pan tilt mount. You can swivel 180 degrees.
Tim? So till Tim comes, I just, okay.
Yeah. Am I back? Yes, I think so. Yeah. So you can cover 8 kilometers. Please go ahead, Mr. Mohanraj.
Yeah, so we have a similar experience. We worked with a company called Aribada in England, and they used a very small pixel camera. Using that with edge computing, they can presently with the Arduino detect and identify elephants. But the problem is the elephants, this experiment was done in Assam, and we were able to identify because the, wherever we put the camera, it was an open area, grassland, we could easily detect the elephant. Same camera I've been trying in Purpley. I can see the elephant visibly with a little light of the torch, but the camera could not pick it up. I think I am lost.
What was the range?
Internet is saying.
What was the range of the
range? What I tried is mine was 50 meters away. The elephant was walking in front of my house because the dogs woke me up. I took the camera and went stood on the balcony and pointed at the camera. I'm seeing it was around 12 o'clock in the night. So it has cooled down, but yet the thermal camera was showing up heat bodies of the houses and other things. So I'm looking at urban area where elephants are coming out, like Gudalur or Coimbatore. But in a place like where everything is field, where tea estates are there, it's able to pick up the elephants and identify. Yeah. So how do you think solve this?
Yes, that heat noise is something which will normally happen with thermal cameras. But as we discussed about doing some pilot projects in Thorapalli, I will bring a handheld thermal camera with me. We'll put it on a tripod, and this can detect up to 1.5 kilometers away. And even, in fact, I shared some of the videos where the handheld camera, you could see through, bushes, foliage.
Yeah, I saw it when I visited you. You showed me that evening.
Yes,
the drone brought the images and you showed this camera. Yeah.
Yeah, that is on the drone. I'm talking with a handheld.
Handheld. We could see the image. Yeah.
Yes, I think when you were here, the elephant started walking in, and we could see the And
now we have stopped elephants from coming in. It's all urban area. It's actually Gudalur municipality. So the elephant proof which Murmala is constructed, we have ensured that elephants can't cross there. So whenever they cross, we are there to stop them from crossing. Because ultimately, conflict elephants die. That is a statement which.
What I need to add in this is our forest personnel need to be equipped also. For example, with this handheld thermal camera, remember when we met the DD of MTR, I had brought another one. And see, sometimes when we are trying to track an elephant in the forest, and when you shine a torch on it, it gets angry. And there is many a time a charge. So when you're using a thermal camera, you can observe this from quite a distance and without disturbing the animal in the least bit. So this will be a great help to the forest guards and people who are perambulating, so that they can detect the elephant and monitor, and especially in the night when they are walking sometimes, even when you shine, if there is a lot of maize here grows to 10 feet tall. So at times when you shine the light at the maize, the torchlight is reflected back. Whereas you use a thermal camera, you're able to see through the stalks, and the gap between them, you're able to detect the elephant.
One of the great changes which is happening in the thermal field is that future cars are to be equipped with thermal sensors so that they can detect. That's going to be mandated in the United States of America and European countries.
Okay.
It will be, so this thermal imaging will be part of the artificial intelligence which will be running on the car. So it will start applying when it detects any live animal or human on the road, it start applying the brakes much before a human could respond. So this is going to become part of the technological compulsory equipment of manufacturing equipment for US cars.
Yes.
Because I think they about 300, 400 human deaths due to car accidents with red deer. And
deer. Yes, elk. Yeah, true. This will definitely be a help.
Yeah, so the thermal imaging costs are going to come down. Now it's thousands of dollars. It has come down to a few $100s. Maybe it will come less than $60, $70 is what is expected.
Yeah, when we go into mass production and demand is there, definitely it will come down. In fact, I am right now dealing with another version of the thermal camera which I brought there. It is able to detect corona patients. So I've married it with an AI system, and it scans entrances of buildings, and it automatically, it can simultaneously track movement tracking as facial recognition of 15 people. And any of them below the threshold set, will be allowed to pass. Anybody having any fever will immediately be isolated and highlighted. So we're using thermal for COVID identification also.
So it's nearly going to be 8 o'clock, and there should be a lot of questions coming up from our listeners. Is the organization, we should go to question and answer because already we are 1.5 hours into the webinar. Is that okay with the organizers?
Yes, that's fine. I think if there is, can wind up in maybe next 2-3 minutes if there is anything else, or we can just start with the Q&A.
Yeah, you can start with Tim. Do you have any issues you need to discuss?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. I think we've.
Yeah, maybe you could just explain a few bit about what's machine learning and how it is changing the world of conservation till they get the question and answers ready. Q&A session.
Yeah. So while they're getting that, Mr. Mohanraj, why don't you tell us a little bit on what you see would happen on the conservation front in terms of technology in the near future?
The only way conservation can take place, technology in conservation can take place is by making means available at low cost. Then only you can have the numbers. For example, if you look at the Nilgiri Eastern Ghats landscape, it's about 14,000 square kilometers of elephant habitat, and that has got a border of say 28,000 square running kilometers where elephants are liable to come out. So if you want to protect the farmers and ensure that HEC is less, we need to have a low-cost technology, high technology, but at a much lower cost. Then only it is going to be applicable on such a large scale. Otherwise, when the technology is costlier, we would be able to use it only on small scales, like maybe level crossings, where the railway may be interested in maintaining the speed of the railway, so they may invest in the money. But if you take any forest department, if you take the Coimbatore Forest Department, I don't think they would have the money. Government of Tamil Nadu would give them any such huge amount of money to do this, because they have already spent most of the money like that, erecting trenches, electric fences without proper upgrading of skill sets. See, if you erect an electric fence, you need to monitor it 24/7. Otherwise, it will fail. It will fail. As you said in the argument, that equipments need to be monitored and they need to be systemized.
Yeah. No.
I see that we can do conservation only if we can mass produce such systems, and by doing that, lowering the cost and making it available for public more than the forest department alone. Presently, we only are talking about the department. It should be going beyond the department to farmers, because average farmer, for example, I met so many. Why did I move into Tharapalli to help those farmers? Is that those farmers had not slept because they were worried about their paddy. That is their year's savings. Part of that price would go to food, and a part of it will be sold. And if the elephant was to eat all of that, they were finished. But people also understand that elephants, maybe at a later date we can have a discussion on this. There are many myths which I think I look at it very oppositely. Like people say that elephants are attracted by food. They are attracted, but they come to the food because we are not guarding it. I can give some examples in Gudlur, where there are villages where there's agriculture, high intense agriculture. Elephants don't come inside. Where there is no intense agriculture, elephants are there breeding and people are dying. Coimbatore, for example, Tadagam Valley doesn't have maybe 20, 30 hectares of agriculture, but elephants are not coming out for this thing. They are coming for the smell of the palmyra. Decomposing palmyra in the bricklands.
Bricklands. So talking on low cost systems, this is one of the things I'm working on. It's a laser, and I'm developing a low cost laser early warning system which will guard 1 or 2 acres of land at a very, very low cost, so that if an elephant enters that area, the farmer will get an alert. So he has the option to make some noise, or it will basically prevent him from stumbling onto the elephant, A. B, if he wants to protect his crop, he can then let off fireworks or do something. When we meet next, I'll demonstrate this for you. So this is going to be a very, very low cost system. So that's something which I want to offer to the farmers, and as you said, once we start mass manufacturing it, we can still bring down the cost further down.
Can we go to the question?
Yes, we do have a lot of questions that lined up. Sorry, I had to sort of interrupt.
Go ahead.
But I see that people are also getting very anxious about, whether will my question be answered? Surely this is the right time. So we now move on to the next segment, which is the question answer session with both our guests. And this will be moderated by Mr. Ankul Shetty. Ankul, I request you to kindly take over, please.
Thank you, Anusha. So it was a very insightful session, Tim, and also some of the questions that have already been answered, while during the conversation with Mohan Raj sir. But then we still have some questions which may be, which could be answered. Let's start with the basics. So a question comes from Dia. So she asks, what is the basic technology requirement for all of the devices what you spoke about?
Technology requirement meaning, I'm not able to identify that.
Technology as in what are the technology devices you use, like the IR system, or I assume that's...
Yeah, okay. See, IR systems uses IR beams. My buried cable, which I'm working with Dr. Philip Casey, that uses a single mode fiber optic cable. Geophones, I use standard geophones available. For image processing, I use any 30-meter IR camera. For thermal processing, I use some of the thermal cameras which I get from Israel, and so on. So depending upon what the particular sensor which I'm utilizing, it utilizes a particular type of sensing. And why I have done so many different types is because, again, terrain. Depending upon the terrain, depending upon the requirement, depending upon the cost, we are able to offer a plethora of solutions.
Right. I also saw that one of your presentation, you also used Raspberry Pi, if I'm not wrong,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
That's also a computer system what you use to notify.
Yes.
Yeah. Can I make it a little simpler for her? This mainly, you have a sensor in the field, and you have a wireless link which is transferring the sensor's data, and you have a system which is displaying it, a dashboard which warns you. So it's a very simple, if you break it down, 3 blocks. One is a sensor, then the communication device to the dashboard. The dashboard is which wakes you up or sends you an alert. It could send you a SMS, it could send you a cell broadcast, or it can send an anti-depredations card.
Very well. Thank you so much, sir. Yes, that is, I think, a very layman explanation, for someone who do not understand the terminologies and technologies. Thank you so much for that. Well, a follow-up question on that. Abhishek wants to know what model of thermal camera did you use in your presentation?
I used the Opgal Psi OP, which is a 60 mm lens, and this is from Israel. I also used the Thermap for the handheld, and on the drone, I used camera from DJI. It's basically I'm using a Mavic 2 Enterprise Dual. So these were the thermal cameras I used in all my presentations.
Thank you. And what kind of multi-link devices do you use for the backbone of the network to get 100 kilometers of transmission range? So Abhishek says the ubiquity devices max out at 25 to 30 kilometers.
Yes. So I use a OEM device, and I'm able to get even 65 Mbps at about 70-75 kilometers. And I use this all 5.8. They come made for me and for ADVANTECH, and it's an OEM. And we use this in all our point-to-point. For example, recently, I mean not recently, I mean about 2-3 years ago, we had covered an entire estate in Valpare, BBTC estate, some 10,000 hectares, where we have connected the entire layout, 5 factories, 5 estate offices, hospitals, bungalows, 30-40 bungalows, and the workshops, all with a wireless intranet, about 95 devices. So they are now, where those earlier they could not even have cell phone coverage between each location. Now they are able to have voice over IP. All their phone calls are directed. All the computers are connected. The normal LAN was 100 Mbps, but I've given them 500 Mbps throughput. And they have video. They have pumped internet from one area there, which is spread throughout the entire 10,000 hectares. So this is what we would want to emulate in any smart forest management project, because the communication is the key of getting the alerts from the sensors out so that you can take action.
Yeah, okay. All right, and Srinivas wants to know if the distance between each active IR transmitter and the receiver is about 250 meters. Is that the understanding right?
Yeah. I'm using a quad IR detector. So it's a quad beam. I have depicted in the presentation a dual beam, and we have quad beams also. So normally they come at 100, 150, and 250 meters. So yes, when more than 2 beams are cut, they trigger. And this is very, very reliable, because I have deployed some of them in Valpare probably 7-8 years ago, and they're still running. Of course, there some maintenance is required. Once in a while, ants go and build nests inside. So that has to be cleaned. And otherwise, it's very, very simple technology. And I marry it with some wireless intranet device, like, as I say, a Raspberry Pi, so that we get an alert on a dashboard. So when you have a field of 10 or 15 of the detectors all over the place, they can all, in one screen, you're able to see which is triggered. And as they keep triggering, you can see the progress of the animal.
Okay, right. So Tarun wants to know from you if these AI instances not just help the protection, but what about law enforcement, about illegal wildlife activities? Are these AI instances being used there as well? Could you quote some examples if you could?
Yeah. See, as I mentioned, the buried cable which I'm working with Dr. Philip, that we are able to detect humans also. So I have tuned it here, set it now, daytime for humans, evening for elephants. And night, you can even have a dual, because humans don't have work in the forest in the night. They're not supposed to be there. So when we deploy this cable, for example, in the forest boundaries where there are some villages also, so if some villager is moving into the forest for doing any illegal activity, you can immediately know that it's a human being who's walking and not an elephant or a tiger. Similarly, when they are setting snares, when they start digging to plant the stake to hold the snare, they can be identified. Gunshots can be identified. No? So this will all help, not only in the forest scenario. I'm working with a group of companies, for example, very, very simple, just take a minute. They are making injection valves. The staff wait for the finished product, gather about 20, 30 of them, tie it in a handkerchief and throw it over the wall. Their comrade catches it at the other side and they go and sell it to local mechanics at 1/10 the cost. They were losing lakhs a year. So we deployed some sensors around. So anybody goes within 100 feet of the wall or the fence, an alarm triggers. So not only forest, you can also use it for other industrial as well as, yeah.
Right. And you couple them with the sound acoustics and accelerometer, I believe, right? So that was Tarun's next question as well.
I lost that question. Can you repeat that, please?
So you couple your the cameras also with some sound acoustics or accelerometer to track or to understand the behavior or to understand what kind of object it is, or how do you?
No, not exactly, but I think I'm out. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir, you're back, sir.
Yeah. I was requested by WWF to develop a collar, a radio collar with an accelerometer so they can monitor the activity of the elephant wearing it, whether it's resting or whether it is walking or whatever. I did some work, but I don't know, the project fell through. But yes, but basically, I am not going near the subject right now. I am monitoring from far, and everything is contactless monitoring. So I really don't have to touch the animal, but through wireless sensing, I'm able to detect. All my sensors work that way. There is basically no contact with the animal at all, other than, of course, when they walk past that. That's it.
Understood. All right.
So I just want to add a point with the accelerometers. See, there's a company called Edge Computing, which uses Arduino. Arduino is the lowest form of microcontrollers, a few hundred rupees. And these microcontrollers today can identify whether the accelerometer is moving. You can train the accelerometer within 1 hour to follow whatever you're doing. So you mount it on the elephant, you carry a laptop with you, and there are sensors which can talk to your laptop in real time. Within a few days, you can get your accelerometer to be calibrated to say whether it is whether the elephant is eating, drinking, or it's sleeping. All this data can be put into it's called Tiny ML, machine learning. And that website, it's again, I'm repeating the website, it's called Edge Computing. So microcontrollers, they give you everything. They even given out a challenge for $5,000 if somebody would use their technology. For example, the thermal imaging, which I'm talking about as an early warning system, is already started using this edge computing to train the microcontroller to recognize the elephant, so that we would have small devices with not even a raspberry, even smaller than a raspberry, which would detect the elephant, and then it will transmit the data as 1 or 2 or 3, saying that it's an elephant, it's a human being.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Thank you, sir. So next question is to you, sir, Mohan Raj. Are there any attempts done by an individual or an organization to educate the decision makers? Because they are the one who would be making the decision whether the technology has to be adapted, used, or they are the one who would be sponsoring the whole thing. So since the technology is so complex, there have been efforts made to educate the lawmakers.
Yeah. See, the that is the most difficult part, and that is falls on my shoulders to any technology first to get my colleagues to adopt itself is very difficult, because unless they see something is working, something is robust, and it doesn't create problems for them, only then they would accept it. And when you want the government to adopt such a system, it has to be much more. Because the government wants to install and forget. If that system only they are looking at. Like today you have microwave towers, you have your wireless networks which are working 24/7. Once they fix their repeater, they can forget it. So you need, it is a very difficult job of convincing managers. But periodically you keep on installing such pilots, showing them these things work and these can solve their problem. For example, when Verma and myself, Verma was working in Mudmalai, we and Armugam, we started with GPS. We trained the forest department how to use a GPS, how to read maps, and that led to presently that Mudmalai and any of these tiger reserves can do their own camera trapping. Because of the technology, we helped them to build. And now it has become a national level technology which everybody accepts. So technology has to be introduced in some pilot areas, proved that it is robust and it can answer and serve the government, and then it will be accepted. It's a long journey.
Right, right.
For example, the hanging fence, there is one Geophone in Coorg, we installed 60 kilometers straight away.
Yes.
But, in Tamil Nadu, yet I have not been able to very successfully install very many fences. While WTI has taken the same technology to Assam, and it is throughout the country now.
Mm-hmm. And I believe you said in your previous talk that it has been effective when compared to the other fences, right?
Yeah, it's been very effective, and Vijay Mohan is one of the designers of this fence, and he's on the list now. It's thanks to him that many farmers in India are sleeping better.
Yeah,
Thank
Vijay
you.
Mohan is a APCCF for everyone who do not know him. All right, so some of the basic questions, I have coupled them together. Dushmanta and Aishwarya wants to know, I think they are talking about the hidden cameras or camera traps. So they want to know what's the resolution of the camera. That's the first question. And to add on to that, we would also like to know if the same camera can be used for daylight, like a regular camera, and IR in the night, or do we need to have two separate camera traps deployed, one for IR and one for regular images, right? And follow-up question also to that is, if we use a IR camera or a thermal camera, can we use the footages to identify an animal? Can we ID the animal because the images are not clean? Do we see some kind of markings that can represent or will help us know that it's the same elephant or same tiger that had visited earlier?
Tim, can I answer this question? Yeah. Shall I answer this question, Tim?
Please, go ahead.
We have used IR cameras. See, the IR camera is different and thermal cameras are different.
Right.
Okay. So average camera, electronic camera, is actually sensitive to infrared also. We only put a filter in front of it and mask the IR. So average camera can switch between IR and daylight. So if you have any of these IR cameras, they can easily switch to, in the daylight, they can use daylight filter to take the picture. And during the night, they can switch on the filter, take away the IR filter and start using IR.
Right.
But you need a source of IR. There are two types of cameras. One is the passive and active. Passive is it records whatever light is available. Active means it actually throws a IR beam and records it. So there are two, again, in IR, we have low IR, higher wavelength IR. So when you use IR, you can't identify the tiger. You might not be able to identify the human being. Because with thermal, definitely you cannot presently. Because you might have to use artificial intelligence to identify the person, but you would not have a signature for most of the people. So using IR or thermal to identify human beings is going to be very difficult. But what I read about is in airports, FBI and other CIA use thermal imaging to identify humans because they have developed images of particular person they are searching for, and that person wears a mask or changes his appearance, but his IR image is the same. They say they can use it. But in the wilderness, we have not been able to use thermal or infrared, but visible light. Wherever we have caught poachers is by visible light. We could identify the person and immediately the ranger is being able to take it forward. We can't even see whether the stripes of a tiger. So we can't identify the tiger, nor can we identify the leopard. We would not be able to identify the elephant because we will see, you saw Tim's other than tuskers. Male elephants we will be able to identify because of their shape of the tusk and the shape of the. Otherwise, it will be very difficult. But IR cameras can be hidden. They are very small. And today, in the market, it hasn't reached India yet. There are artificial intelligence cameras which are based on IR, which we can identify and transmit the data, whether it's a tiger or a human being. But it has not reached India. There are some, it's undergoing trials in Africa and Europe.
Perfect. And what are the resolutions of this camera was one of the questions.
The resolution is about 800 by 600.
Okay.
Anything less than that, you will not be able to identify anybody. If it goes higher, you can't transmit the data, process the data, because it has to be done. See, now it's called edge computing. That means the data is processed at the where the picture is captured. Earlier, what we were doing, we were taking the picture, feeding to Amazon or Microsoft, AWS, and they would give us identification. But today, that whole package is downloaded and put into the edge computing. So you are actually doing the artificial intelligence in the sensor. Because no use your machinery sending the data to you and then your computer identifying that there's a problem with the machinery. The machinery, as the bearing gets heated up, the microprocessor will artificial intelligence say there's a problem with this bearing and it will immediately warn you. So that's where technology is already reached, but it is not reached. It is available for industries, but it has to trickle down to wildlife conservation, and it's yet costly.
Right. And about the IR and about the laser, alerting systems, there is a question whether these will expose, or the exposure of IR or laser, will they cause any kind of harm to the animal, to their eyes or to their skin?
Laser beams could cause a problem with the eyes of animals because the laser beam can damage if you use high power lasers. But I think Tim uses very low power lasers which will not affect, and it will be a fraction of a second the animal will cross the laser beam. Am I correct, Tim?
Yes, very true. Because we aim it for around about 6 feet, and that will be below 6 to 7 feet. So most other wildlife will go under, and most of the elephants will be between 7 and 8 feet. And as you said, it will just be a fraction where it just walks past, and at that moment it blocks. So it will not affect the animal. No.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Now the next question is: are there any IoT sensors for smell? Can IoT sensors identify smell, or is it only hearing and visuals?
No, I have not explored IoT sensors with smell, no. But we're looking at color, we're looking at temperature, we're looking at various other IoT-based sensors. But no, frankly, I have not worked on that.
Perfect. All right. Next question is from Velu. Velu wants to know if flying drone needs any special permission when you are flying near a wildlife sanctuary. And I believe this question is if you want to do some research or some kind of educational, because I do agree. I do know that it's not allowed for photography or entertainment, but is flying drone allowed for some kind of project or some kind of educational requirements?
Well, I think that you could, that way you would have to get the permission from the relevant forest authorities.
Mhm.
If you're flying inside your own place, there is no problem,
Correct.
provided you follow the guidelines set by the drone industry.
Right.
But once you are on Pata land, you have no problem. But once you go into the forest land, you definitely would need permission. A. B. In fact, this morning only we were discussing that this might not be liked by the forest department. And third, if you see, none of my images, at least even though it is taken next to my house, away from the forest, inside a private Pata land, I never release on WhatsApp or any other social media images or videos of elephants currently near my place, because this could lead to poaching straight away.
Right.
So all the documentation, whatever is done, is minimum 1 year old.
Mhm.
Because these are beautiful animals,
Right.
and I don't want accidentally by somebody just sharing this to somebody else and it goes to the wrong hands and
Correct.
eventually the animal gets poached. No?
Right.
So even the department is, in fact, we had a discussion this morning with Mr. Mohan Raj. He said, we have to be wary of the sensitivity of the department, because we are entering into their territory.
Right.
So we shouldn't, upset them. So whatever you need to do for such projects, you apply, get a letter, or hold it with you and do what you need to do.
Right. Right. So maybe the follow-up question to Mohan Raj on that. Mohan Raj, sir, do you know anyone or any organization currently using drones for any kind of educational purposes, or no? It's not been approved yet.
Education purposes, people are using drones. The forest department is also using drones. There are 3 types of drones. The mini drone, there is a weight. The drones are divided by weight.
Right.
Less than 250 grams, anybody can fly those drones because they are not very powerful. They can't do much.
Correct.
But when you go about 250 grams of weight, the drone can do a lot of things. It can carry a camera, it can do autonomous flying, and all this. For that, you need licenses. Your drone has to be registered with the aviation department, and you need to actually file a report. Every time you start flying your drone, you need to fly it. But presently, I've not heard about anybody using drones to study, but for example, we would like to use a drone to survey the Nilgiri Thar, because it would be much easier than searching for them in the cliffs. But that would mean that we need a high-end drone, because the high velocity winds at cliffs will be there. But one day we presume that we will get permission once we have the technology, and we need to have a pilot license. If you're going to fly these drones, you need to have a pilot license. You need to go through exam, which is done by the aviation department, and you certify that you know how to fly the drone and how drones are made, and you follow laws, mainly because aviation, a drone can easily bring down any of these passenger aircrafts, because if it goes into the engine will go into pieces and you will crash. So the aviation department is very careful. And if you are next to somewhere like Nilgiris, then there's a lot of defense establishment in the Nilgiris. So flying a drone in these areas will be difficult. But I think that government should allow drone for monitoring, for studying. A lot of animals we can study with drone without interfering with them. I think drone technology is very good, especially for monitoring and overseeing, patrolling. We can use drones to a lot of extent. Following animals, we can use drones. Even to divert animals. For example, in Gudlur Forest Division, they used a drone to try and divert the animal trying to escape after it was darted. The drone could not handle the canopy. So we need a higher end drones which can fly autonomous, which can avoid obstacles in its path. There are such drones available in the market which can do it, but we don't have it. And a lot of NGOs, for example, WWF doesn't want to enter the drone because we work very close to the international borders, and that will cause a lot of problems. Like monitoring tigers would be very easy in Sundarbans if we were to use drones, but
Yes.
we are next. Yeah.
Right.
So I think drones are going to be a very important tool for wildlife conservation, for studying wildlife, but yet it is not there yet. Because just now the forest department has started using drones. Once they become more conversant, see, I've arranged for the training of the drone pilots. They have been trained in an institute in Coimbatore. So they fly well, quite well. But yet with the forest department, it's a government organization. The batteries are not last. After a few years, the batteries will not be replaced. The drone will be lying there. We need to make the drone very important in the system and make economy available for them to sustain keeping a drone pilot and drone maintenance. That's going to be very expensive.
So if I may add on that, yeah, I have a few drones with the collision avoidance systems, and it has got collision avoidance in 4 directions. And so as it comes close to a tree, it will start beeping and tell you the distance you are away from the tree. And the only problem, this works only in the daytime. And I have a same high-end drone with thermal imaging. So by and large, I have a map of the Google map of the area where I'm flying in. And around my colony, I have put a pin on all the tall trees. So this drone has also got a searchlight. So I can go quite close to an animal and hover about 10 meters above it and switch on the searchlight. So I get an image in color in the middle of the night. So all these capabilities are available, and it's only increasing as the days go by, because we are getting a lot of offerings. In fact, I design, fabricate, and fly. As you can see behind me at the background, you can see half a dozen drones on the wall. This is all what I have fabricated. And anyway, so it's an interesting field. And yes, drone pilot licenses are available, and they give you the guidelines. So it's best to follow that and take it from there.
Perfect. So there's one very interesting question. This comes from Facebook, from De Silva Roy. So her question, or his question says, elephant seem to communicate by sensing seismic vibration through the soft skin or through the pad of their feet. Is there any way to create this vibration to keep them away from a particular village or a farmland? So has any study or has any research been done on that we could create or replicate this vibration to keep them away?
Can I answer that question?
Yeah, so you answer the first part.
Yeah. See, the seismic waves which elephants communicate, the study was done in Africa, and the people have found the researcher has actually used the same seismic waves are generated by elephants when a lion charges them. So she has broadcasted the seismic waves, and elephants have run away from that place. I am not able to recall the name of the researcher, but it's done in Africa. Maybe I can refer and send it to you.
All right. Tim, you want to add more to that, or?
Sorry, I dropped out.
No problem. So you want to add more to what Mr. Mohan Raj already?
Yeah, so very true. I did some initial foray into this, but I was Of course, on ultrasound, yes, there is some possibility, but subsonic, below 20 hertz, there is a lot of communication. Very interesting. When you see an elephant having a bath in a river, you will suddenly see the water boiling around the elephant. You know, that's basically the elephant purring at a very low frequency. It's happy. No? And I'm sorry to say that I do not understand much of this. We have not, I don't have enough data to try and have an early warning system designed on a subsonic frequency, because how it would work or where it would affect, I'm not very sure. So right now, yes, it can be done, as Sir said, that you can have some kind of alert generated or maybe an alarm call generated, but we need to identify that.
Okay. All right. Vishik asks, have these efforts and results been documented anywhere in publications? It would be helpful to share the links where, you know, we can learn more about this work, about what you have done, Mr. Tim, on sensors.
Yeah.
And AIs.
Yeah, I have released a handbook of artificial intelligence elephant early warning systems, and I can share it with you. It is a very detailed handbook which talks about the solution. It gives block diagrams so it can be explained to the non-technical people. And below that is a video link or one or two video links of how this solution works in the field. So I will share this with you. It's available. And so every solution will be described with block diagrams as well as videos. So this document is available. I'll share it with you.
Perfect. So I think we will collate all the links, what we have been discussing here, and then share it with all the participants. One question from my end, you know, coming from a technology background, you know, I understand that technology has its own limitations, right? So what according to you is the biggest limitation in terms of wildlife conservation when it comes to technology? Or if you want to rate it in percentage, how much percentage are we can tell them that, you know, we can tell that we are able to mitigate all the problems?
Again, we discussed this morning, Mr. Mohan Raj and myself, and my main concern is technology is available. If technology is utilized, we can mitigate human-wildlife conflict to a large extent. I won't be able to quantify it in terms of percentage, but definitely a very large amount. But the problem right now is, of course, wildlife enthusiasts, etc., are aware of this, and they are going in a road to adapt technology. But sadly, we don't get that kind of a positive reaction from some of the forest departments in the country. You know, they are still, you know, comfortable with their older method of dealing, and they are reluctant to go to technology. But I can see some new things happening because we have a forest ranger training academy here, and Mr. Anvaruddin is heading it right now, and he has asked me to come, and I have trained a batch of 30-40 rangers right now on human-elephant conflict and early warning systems. So I see an emerging trend where slowly it would be inducted into the mainstream, and younger batches of people or forest officials would adapt and would, you know, take this further. Is that you need to try it out. So my suggestion is have a pilot project. It's not going to cost you a lot. Take a couple of technologies, have a couple of conflict zones which you have identified in your division, implement it. There's so much of other money being wasted. Here, I'm showing proof of how it works. Everything is existing. Whichever is pertaining to your kind of terrain, take a low-cost solution, do it, and observe for a year. If you're happy with how it performs, then you can go on. So my main objective in releasing the handbook is for people to try a small, low-cost pilot project and take it from there.
Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you. We did discuss a lot on what are the different technologies available, how we can use it, where we can use it, and we did as well discuss about the limitations. There are a few questions which are not related to technical, but more on your presentation. That it drew some curiosity. So if you have some 5 minutes, maybe we can take it as well, or.
Yeah, why not?
Yes. So the people want to know what kind of physical fencing do you use at your farm. We see few gates in the pictures you showed, but also see elephants at your doorstep. So how frequent do elephants use this area between villages and your house? So that's out of curiosity to understand.
Okay. Let me answer the first question. I have no fence around my house. I have a small chain link to keep my dogs in. So I don't have a wall because I want to see what's happening outside. And yes, elephants come within my door probably 3-4 times a week. And I have herds of 10, 20 coming very, very close. And they all go past, and most of them do not do any damage whatsoever. A couple of days ago, I had installed a camera close by. The elephant came, and it's so close, I can see the bristles on its lower lip. And that covers the entire frame. Okay. And afterwards, let me say a kind of little jocular male comes past, and he also comes close, and all I can see is his tusk, and then he pulls the camera down. So my guys were all very worried, but I was laughing. The camera was 10,000 bucks, but that footage was worth 10 lakhs to me.
Right.
No? And so yes, there are no fences, and we have, this is a season. So this season we have more or less every day, because till they finish the maize, which is plantations around in the village, they have to go past my house, and they do it on more or less a daily basis.
Right. We did see some of the footages. You had your cars parked, and the elephant just passed by without doing anything.
Yeah.
Right.
I have an elephant which came and bit my XUV 500. I have another elephant which gave it a playful tap, and it busted the front right headlight. I have not changed it, and I've just kept it. While we were treating the elephant which was injured by a bomb, the department asked me to take some photographs. So I was my wife was driving the 4x4. I was standing outside and photographing. Suddenly the elephant charged. So I ran behind the 4x4. It tried to reach across the 4x4 to get me. And I came this side. I said, please don't move the car. And it went to my wife. She raised up the window, and it just licked the entire 4x4 window. She says, I could see right down to his gullet. I quickly got into the car, and it went away. So we've had quite a lot of close brushes, but it's fun.
There's also one question about the bomb. You did mention a couple of times earlier as well. So the question is, what's been done about those bombs?
Yeah. See, this has been an age-old practice. They put some gunpowder and some kind of a detonator, wrap it in animal fat, and they throw it in the field. And invariably, wild boar will come and chew on it and have its head blown off. It dies instantly, usually, and these guys hear the sound and go early morning before the people come and pick it up. But that doesn't happen all the time. And I'm doing a short movie on a herd. I'm calling it the tragic life of a sounder, where we are watching the sounder of wild boar. I've been following it for a year, where the piglets are just with the spots and stripes, 5 of them, and they develop. Slowly one gets killed, another gets caught in a snare, and one day the mother comes with a snare around its neck, and then it mates with another big boar, and he is standing guardian. I have put a couple of water holes just near my house so they can drink, because a lot of deer and wild boar need water here. It gets very hot in the summer. And the next day I saw that this wild boar was just jumping into the water hole and putting its head inside. When I focused, I realized the entire jaw had been blown off. And this was an agonizing pain, and lying there, the male is trying to push it off. The other piglets were trying to pull it out. Nothing happened. And daytime, it was coming and drinking water because it was paining so much. And what was surprising, after the wild boar left, the deer came in, but they wouldn't drink the water. Only when I went to the water, I saw that maggots had fallen into the water. So in the middle of the night, at 2 o'clock in the night, my wife and myself cleaned out the water and again filled it so the deer could drink. This went on for about 3-4 days. I have this entire thing documented, entire video documentation of this, you know. And then we found the boar dead just about 50 meters from the waterhole, and the last 2 piglets were still lying on the warm body of the dead mother. It was tragic. It was very, very tragic. No? And this is not an isolated case. It's happened several times.
Right.
And we've seen deer coming in with their legs with snares. And elephant, I told you about the 2 elephants. One we managed to medicate and get it going, heal it, but the other one died. So this happens all over India.
Right.
No, I am not in a position to say what should be done or whatever, but I can just share my feelings. And sir, and
can I add 2 issues with this? See, we work for Traffic India looking at this data. So we find that this type of trapping and use of explosives is planned for meat.
yes,
It's a meat market. It is bush meat. There are particular people who do this very systematically, and they go into farms, they wipe out wild boar, any deer coming in, and occasionally an elephant gets caught into that trap. Then only it comes to light. Otherwise, mostly they get away with it. But it's a major issue which needs to be addressed. We have no, other than having a very good intelligence network, we cannot handle this. Technology doesn't seem to be solving any of these issues. We've been trying to use drones with the magnetometer to pick up these, which could not do it. They are saying they can, but we are not there technologically.
Right.
but I'm glad to say that in this 100 acres, I've now installed about nearly about 50 cameras, wireless cameras, and such incidents have dropped over the past 2 years, because the local villages are aware that these cameras are there and they will get caught. And so it has turned for the better right now. We haven't seen such a case now for more than a year. But we really don't know when it can, because a while ago, last week, we found salt put in a place so that deers will come, and there are about 30-40 cheetal roaming around this area. So I think that salt was put there so that this deer will come there and they'll either shoot it or snare it. But we managed to remove the salt. So, but nothing has happened. off late, but it's there. It's an ever-present danger.
Right. Right. Yes. So that's something we'll have to work upon. Like, thank you so much. We did understand how technology can improve in mitigating human-wildlife conflicts and also illegal wildlife trades. So that was an excellent talk. Thank you, both of you. Anusha, do we have anything else for today?
No, I guess we've come to the end of this session now. So will you continue sharing your screen? Right. Okay. Well, I guess, like I said, we've come to the end of the session. So I would like to thank our guests for the evening, all the participants for actively taking part and asking so many questions. Indeed, these issues are serious ones, because we do know that elephant is one of the most conflict-prone species in India, and they cause a lot of damage to the crops and human lives, and vice versa. We know a lot of deaths get reported, as well as millions of hectares of farmlands are affected due to this conflict. So technology definitely plays a very important role in mitigation, not only for the safety of the human lives, but more so for elephants and other wildlife as well. With this, I would like to conclude and thank everyone who's actively participated this evening, the last online event for this year. Thank you, Ankul. Thanks to all the participants, and definitely we should definitely thank our guests for being available towards the end of this year and making this year count for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good sharing info with all of you. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good, happy New Year.
Yes.
Happy New Year to everyone.
Yes. Looking forward to a wonderful 2021. God bless.
God bless.